Hi everybody, it's Carrie Elias, and today I have a gold leaf splatter tutorial to share with you today. I'm going to be making a layout, and I'm using both the mood board and the recipe card from Two Girls in a Kit to draw inspiration for different techniques. For the supplies, I have a Studio Calico wood veneer, I have that little grow word, and then I have the little wood veneer stars. I have a Martha Stewart 3D gold glitter butterfly. I have some little, I think they're called dew drops. I believe I got them at Joann's, and they're just a really pale blue color. They're a little bit transparent. And then I also have those KI Memories purple rhinestones, which I do not end up using. I have the Art Minds gold leaf, and then I have the Amy Tangerine Calberteschi black letters, the Becky Higgins corner rounder, two photos. I have Basil, white cardstock and avalanche, Studio Calico Atlantic paper, Studio Calico South of Market, the blue one with the herringbone, I believe is called Grass Fed. And then I created that cup file, and I'm using that circle inspiration, and then I'm also going to be using the inspiration from the mood board of layering behind words. And you'll see that I also have a sheet of contact paper on my cutting mat, and that's because this is how I did the gold leaf splatter. Now, I've never done this before, so this is just something that I decided to try. If you come up with an easier way or something, a way that you think is better, more efficient, or I don't know, maybe less time consuming, I'd love for you to leave a comment. But this is just what I decided to try with the supplies I have on hand. One thing about using this contact paper is it's only adhesive on one side. And I made sure when I put the contact paper down on my cutting mat for the silhouette that the sticky side was facing up. And that's just a personal preference. I think it makes this technique a little easier if you are using contact paper. However, I did notice when I was at the craft store the other day that Silhouette does carry a double-sided adhesive sheet. So it's just like the contact paper, but it's sticky on both sides. And the only reason I didn't use that is because I just didn't have any. And I didn't want to run out in the store and grab it when I didn't even know if this idea was going to work. So we're going to give it a try here and see what happens. So I'm cutting the branding strip off of my Basil cardstock, just the white background. And I like the textured kind of linen white cardstock, so I have that facing up. And then you can see that the shape that I cut out from the contact paper is kind of like an ink splatter or a paint splatter. It's not something I designed myself. It's a brush that I had on my computer. I do not remember where I got it from or how old it is or anything, but I do know that if you go online to different resources like defont.com, you can search under the dingbats for different types of paint splatters and ink splatters, and that's something that you'd be able to easily use without having to just create it yourself. So I took the contact paper, and after removing it from the cutting mat, I just placed it right where I wanted to on the background. And then I used my favorite wet adhesive, which is called the Ultimate. And the reason I prefer this adhesive is because it's strong. I know that it's not going to move. Nothing's going to happen to it. Over time, the adhesive isn't going to weaken or it's going to melt and come off. So that's why I used that instead of a tape runner. Also, it dries completely clear, and it also completely dries, whereas I know some other wet adhesives stay sticky and they never really dry, at least in reference to scrapbooking type products. So you can see I'm just placing my splatters back where I added the glue. And of course, if you decide to do this, you can use any shape. Like, I think that this would be a really cute technique for doing like a monogram or a cute, you know, like maybe saying the word fall in gold leaf. But I just decided to use uh, like a ink or a paint splatter for mine, for the background of my layout. And so I just put it back in the holes, and that's just because I like the way that it lined up rather than just doing it freehand. Um, it's I guess it's a little tricky, but if you have a little bit of patience, it's not that big a deal. Like it actually this process is actually fairly easy as long as you're a little patient with it. And so there you can see I have my contact paper in the shape of a splatter. And it's adhered to my white cardstock background, and now I'm going to take that top layer off that's protecting the sticky part. So now I'm going to have the sticky part of this contact paper exposed. And there's some spots where I don't think I used quite enough glue, or I didn't let it dry all the way, and so you'll see me kind of fussing with it a little here and there. But I think this is probably the trickiest part, is just trying to remove that top layer of contact paper off to reveal the sticky part, because it is a little hard to find where those two pieces meet. I had a little bit of nail right now, so that definitely helped. But if you don't have nails, or if you want to try something that might be a little easier, some tweezers might work really well too. So I didn't have to, I definitely did not, it was not super difficult. Like I definitely did, I was able to do it without having it be too much trouble. But I'm sure you can probably guess that you can see the glue showing through underneath the contact paper because it's not dry yet. But you know, now you have a nice sticky surface that you can really adhere anything to. And you could do this, I'm using gold leaf, but this would also be really cute for like glitter if you wanted to really control where your glitter went. You know, I'm trying to think what other types of products, but I'm sure that, you know, you could get really creative and do some really fun stuff with this. So I'm just removing the last little pieces, just some little random splatters that I wanted, so that, you know, there was good disbursement over the background of my paper. And once I have those all up, I'm going to grab my the actual gold leaf product that I grabbed from my stash. And you can see I'm kind of fussing with that a little bit. I did have a lot of fun with this project, and I had a lot of fun trying to figure out like what techniques from the mood board I wanted to use or the recipe card I wanted to use, and I knew I kind of wanted to try this gold leaf thing and see how it was going to work. And the techniques I ended up choosing from the mood board is the image with everything in the shape of a circle. That gave me the inspiration for doing my text. So I do the text for this layout in the shape of a half circle, which is cut out inside the shape of a circle. And that's just something that I did in Photoshop and printed out with my Silhouette Cameo. I believe I used the Babus font. And then the other technique that I grabbed, both from it's from the recipe card, and then there's an example of it on the Two Girls in a Kit mood board, is layering a photo with behind text is the exact example. But on the recipe card, I think it's listed as layering a photo behind a die cut or some sort of shape that that you already have cut out, or that you cut out by hand or cut out with your Silhouette Cameo. And I ended up doing that with the text as well. And I think it adds a nice little touch. I'm kind of excited I got to use so many new kind of fun techniques on this layout. So the only trick that I can really say when you're adding the gold leaf to your page is you can see how I just kind of covered everything really well. When you're initially trying to get the gold leaf to stick to your contact paper, definitely like brush it onto it. So brush from the middle of where the contact paper is, or where you think the splatter is, outwards, so that you're not removing excess gold foil before it gets a chance to come in contact with the contact paper. And then once you have it just kind of basically down, then you can see it works really well to take your paintbrush and brush in every single direction so that you get that nice, rich, fine, kind of clean image. And I did end up doing 2 different gold splatter backgrounds just to try some different techniques. And one of the things I did for one of them was I sealed one with a clear sealer, and the other one I just left plain like this because I was worried about the gold foil coming off over time. And I have to say, the one that I used the clear sealer on, it took away that really great kind of leafy look. So it just reminded me of gold paint instead of having that great gold leaf texture. So it could have just been the product I used, but I haven't had issues with it in the past. So it's not quite as likely, but it definitely still is possible. Okay, and then now you can see I'm kind of starting to assemble my actual layout. And I took a strip of both my pattern papers, and you can see instead of just cutting like an angle straight from the paper that I wanted to, I cut a rectangle and then cut it at an angle. And that's because I wanted, for this layout specifically, normally I don't do this, I wanted the actual pattern on the paper to be straight up and down, right and left. I didn't want the pattern to be angled. I hope that makes sense. But so here you can see I have my photo, and I'm going to be layering it with my text. And again, this is from the 2 Girls in a Kit recipe card. One of the techniques was to layer with a photo behind a die cut. And I just chose a photo that, you know, matched the colors of my page. But it just so happens, I think I might have taken these photos like in the same week or something. So it was nice to have them printed and ready to go. And then I'm rounding the corners of the actual photo that I'm using on this layout. And that's just because since it's going next to that circle, I wanted it to flow really well. And I thought it looked nicer like that. I'm sure that a rectangle would look good as well, but I liked the idea of having the circle next to a photo with rounded corners. And then I just adhered the text down with my wet adhesive, which is the ultimate, but to give just a little bit of depth, I'm going to be adding the foam adhesive that gives my photo a little bit of lift. Now, if I really wanted it to stand off the page, I would do it around the edge, but I prefer to have my photos, how do I say this, to have them have more weight in the center of the photo, and then kind of, I don't know, kind of droop down around the edges. I guess would be a good example. And that's just a look that I like. And so now I'm gonna add my title, and it just says 18 weeks because this was my photo that I took when I was 18 weeks pregnant, which was actually just a couple weeks ago. So this is a fairly current photo. And I've been taking these photos myself with my tripod because I've been happiest doing that. I've had Ryan take photos for me, my weekly photos for me in the past, and I don't know, I just kind of prefer this. I don't have to bother him, and then I get to have things look exactly the way I want. So And then I decided that I wanted the little gold butterfly there. And you'll see later that I have the gold butterfly by the title here, and then I have the gold splatter, and then I do end up adding one more gold element just so that there's 3 different areas of gold on this page to kind of give it. I mean, it looked fine without it, but I feel like with the 3rd element, it gave it really good movement. So now I'm just adding my Grow wood veneer, and I'm going to layer it right on top of both the photo and my title. And I really like that raw color for the Grow. I think it's really pretty. I've been wanting to try the color blocking on like a wood veneer word, where you have half of it the wood veneer and then the other half you paint or glitter or something, but for this photo I wanted it to just be simple. And I normally will like sew on my layouts and do lots of other things, but for this one, because it was so technique based with doing the gold foil splatter and layering the photo behind the text and trying some new things, I wanted it to be a little cleaner looking. So and then I'm just taking some of the wood veneer Studio Calico stars and adding them on my page. You can see I put some where the constellation paper is, and I actually put them over some of the stars on the constellation paper. And I'm showing you there. And I always like doing that, like putting a star over a star or a heart over a heart on a piece of paper. I think that it's nice. It just adds a little bit of depth and texture. And now I'm just adding a couple extra little stars by the gold leaf and throughout the page. And I'm going to add my little blue circles, my little dewdrops, just to add a little bit of movement and color and make things a little more interactive for the eye. And also, one quick thing that I do want to mention is that when you decide to create any layouts or projects or anything fun using any of our 2 Girls in a Kit goodies, we have our mood board, our recipe card, our sketch. We also have some free journaling cards. When you decide to create with any of that fun stuff, Amanda and I love to see what you make. So just share your project using hashtag 2Girls in a Kit so that we can take a peek. But anyways, so I'm adding my little blue dots, and I apologize, the lighting in this video is not the best. I started it in the afternoon and I ended up finishing it in the evening because I was having problems with my battery dying, and so the lighting's gonna get a little funky here. And then originally I was gonna keep it just like that, but then I decided that I wanted to add a little bit more of that blue I say blue, but it's like a dark blue or black. I wanted to add some of that constellation paper up towards the top, and it's just because it was just a lot of white. And I don't have anything against that. Like, I think a lot of white can look really nice if it's done well, but for this layout I felt like it just needed a little bit of extra. So I just cut some little rectangles from, again, both of the same pattern papers, and I'm adding them up in the right hand corner and just kind of layering them. And in the video I made it look easy, like, oh, it's just gonna go here, but in reality, like off camera, it took me a minute to try and figure out where I wanted to place these pieces because I had a really hard time figuring out what I thought looked nice. So then I thought I was done, but then I decided to add that 3rd piece of gold in there so that there was the gold, the 3 different gold elements or pieces in different places, or however you want to describe it. And I'm actually much happier with it like that. I think that that's really nice. I feel like it's a little bit better balanced. And then again, same thing with the little wood veneer star. No one would probably even notice it's there, but to me, I feel like it's a little more balanced with that little star there as well. So that's pretty much it. So I'm going to zoom in and show some of the details. There's my journaling. There's that really great gold leaf. I think it turned out really well. I'm quite excited about it. Since it's going to be in a page protector, I'm not too worried about it coming off or flaking off. We'll see. And yeah. So thanks so much for watching this. I hope that you try out some of these fun techniques, either with the gold leafing, and again, you can do it in any shape. You don't have to do a splatter. You could, you know, like I said, cut out the word fall and do a fun fall layout, or any text, or a cute, even a cute leaf, like in the shape of a fall leaf would be really cute. And then again, layering the photo behind the die cut would be fun too. Thanks for watching, you guys. Bye.